Hey guys, I quickly wanted to talk about something that happened today. Wax posted a update to their cloud wallet and it scared a lot of people. And the article was a bit confusing, and I guess that's why they took it down to rewrite it, because there was a lot of controversy around it. I pulled up a cached version just to have some talking points to make sure that I can read if I need to, but it basically came down to Wax Cloud Wallet, the wallet where you don't own your own keys, right? They manage it for you. It's very user-friendly, but they want to change something. Wax is a blockchain, as some of you might know, that does not charge any transaction fees. It basically works in a way where you stake Wax to get an allotment to do transactions. So you get CPU and net. I can link to an article that explains it more, or talk about it some other day. It goes too deep now to tell you about it, but basically, relative to the amount of wax you stake, you can do more or less transactions every day, but you never lose that wax. That's very important. So you don't pay per transaction, you just use a bit of allocated resources that replenish every day. So you never lose wax. So what Wax wants to do right now is change that a bit, where they will have a whitelisting system. How that works, they can't tell. That was part of the confusion. And if an app is not whitelisted, if you want to sign a transaction with your Wax Cloud wallet, you will have to pay 0.1 Wax for each transaction. And that's a bit of an issue, because Wax is a blockchain, as I said, that doesn't have transaction fees. So everything is built around there not being any transaction fees, meaning that you don't have to make a conscious decision if you want to make an investment in a transaction fee to perform a transaction. And if you start adding transactions, that whole model has to change, right? Because there can be lots of trivial transactions that happen on the blockchain now just because you can, and that's pretty cool. I think it's really nice that you don't have to think, can I afford to do this transaction? No, you're using an app, playing a game, whatever, you're having fun, and doing transactions is just part of it, and it has no extra consequence there. Once they start to add a fee per transaction, that whole thing changes. And it might not be an issue, maybe everything gets whitelisted and you'll never see it, but it sets a kind of precedent that I don't really like. And it's only for their own wallet. If you have your Anchor wallet, your self-hosted wallet, or Wombat, you won't face this issue, but nearly everybody that gets started on Wax does so by using the cloud wallet. So yeah, that's in my opinion, that's not really good. And I wanted to talk to somebody at Wax about this, but yeah, I think it will be tough to get somebody to talk to right now. So I figured I'll just record this and put my thoughts out there. So one of the major reasons for doing this is that it costs a lot of money to operate the Wax Cloud wallet right now. And a lot of the resources disproportionately go to bots, right? As most people on Wax knows, one of the biggest apps on there are Alien World and Farmers World, and they both have a big bot issue because there's money to be made, and whenever there's easy money to be made, bots flock to it. The difference between Alien World and Farming World is that Alien World only works with Cloud Wallet. They have that restriction in there to make it harder to bot, but it doesn't really stop that. There's just very much bots there. And they try to combat them. Don't get me wrong, they do a great job taking down the big botnets, but they're still the biggest part of Alien World is bots, sadly. And the bill for that partly gets paid by the cloud wallet, because they have to provide all the resources, the signing, etc. Because it's not a few accounts, it's a lot of accounts. So that's also part why they want to introduce this. The only issue there is, if they would say, well, we're not going to whitelist Alien Worlds, and then the entire game is over, right? Because if you have to pay 0.1 wax per transaction, nothing you do in that game will let you recoup that even a little bit, right? So that just means game over for the entire game, because it no longer makes sense to play the game. So that means from going from being the biggest game on Wax to just 0, because you can only use Cloud Wallet. If Cloud Wallet charges a fee per transaction, that game is done. There will be 0 people playing it. The other one is Farmers World. And the issue there is that most bots will just use self-hosted wallets because they're way easier to bot, right? If you want to bot with the Cloud Wallet, you have to do all sorts of tricks because it's a web-only interface. You don't have the keys, you have to interface with their system. If you use a self-hosted wallet, you have keys and you can sign transactions and push them directly into the push API. So I would bet that nearly all of the bots on Farmers World are not Cloud Wallet. So I think the only way to get a big reduction in the load for Cloud Wallet would be to not support alien worlds. But I don't see how they do that. It's like, yeah, it could be a way to force them to stop doing all those transactions on-chain, which is a shame because that's one of the beautiful things on Wax. You can do everything on-chain if you want to, even if not everybody agrees, but it's pretty cool. So you could move that to an off-chain model. But I don't think the creators wanted that. They explicitly wanted to do everything on-chain. Like, I know another game, Metal War, is exactly the same. They built a real-time strategy game. And it would make more sense to do it off-chain, because there's lots of issues involved with doing it on-chain. But he was like, no, I want this to be on-chain. That's my challenge, and that's the way I want to do it. Have it purely on-chain. So yeah, I don't know which way this goes. But the way it was introduced, there were so many questions. And then you have the fact that the article came out, and at the same time, I was getting sent pop-up messages by people that already encounter the system that's written here. So for like mining network, people were out of CPU. They tried to do an action in the Cloud Wallet and they got the pop-up, hey, you can do this action if you pay 0.1 wax. And I was like, oh my God, does this mean that it's wrongly written so that it's only a way to pay for transactions when you're out of resources, which is a pretty cool idea to build it into the wallet. There are cheaper ways to do it, but nonetheless, it's a very user-friendly, low-friction way. So if that would just be it, it would be great, but it's not. So later, either I didn't read it properly or it got amended with the additional notes that it would always charge that fee for non-whitelisted. So, but they didn't even tell that they already rolled out a version of that right now. So there was just so much confusion, so much a bit of panic there. So I really hope this article gets rewritten soon and that we can get the full story, especially on whitelisting, etc. So yeah, that's basically it. Let me know what you think about it because it's really controversial to me. Thank you. Bye bye.